Hello, I'm Peter Towers, Managing Director of ESS BIZTOOLS. Welcome to this ESS BIZTOOLS Accountants Minute podcast on the advanced package that has been developed by ESS BIZTOOLS to assist accountants to deliver a broader range of professional advice for your clients. We start off this article within Accountants Minute with the question, why do SMEs need more than just tax returns? I would ask you for a moment to think about the tax return. It's prepared at the end of a financial year, and in some cases, many months after the end of the financial year. In some cases, longer than 12 months. It is a statement of what occurred in a previous financial year. It has no reflection on the week-by-week trading that's occurred during the year, some of which may have been dramatically affected by a miscalculation, some fraud, missing information, products suddenly increasing in price because of higher costs for importing raw materials from overseas. Were any of these adjustments reflected immediately in the operations of the business? Was there a real awareness of the change? Did the budgeted productivity percentage of a tradie type employee change get noticed? If it had been budgeted at 85% productivity and it dropped to 70% and it continued week after week, did anyone notice this and indicate to the client that there should be a change in the charge out rate calculation for what that person's been charged out at? In many cases, my answer to my own question would be no. No one noticed or no one did anything about it. So that when the annual accounts are prepared for the income tax return purpose, all of these changes and adjustments and miscalculations are reflected in the final figures. But your client has had no prompting, no input during the year that changes need to be necessary. It's like sailing a ship, and I'm not a sailor, but I understand you don't set your course from Sydney to sail to America, to ports in America and just set it and go. You need to be continually monitoring because you're going to run into all sorts of obstacles, whether they're cyclones, whether they're heavy winds, whether they're shipwrecks that you go to help. And you need to try to get back onto your course if you're the skipper of that ship. Running a business is basically the same. But the skipper of a ship has got immediate information given to him by his other key crew members, and it's conveyed to him by the technology that he has at his disposal. What information does your SME client have at their disposal to tell them that something went wrong, that the productivity that was expected at 85% for a group of key employees suddenly dropped to 70%? Was it noticed? Now, if it was an abnormal situation that only lasted for a couple of days or even a week, maybe that's all right. But if it then just continued and no one knew, that can be quite damaging for the business. Now, if your client was a bit larger and they employed a full-time accountant, I would expect that the qualified accountant performing that role within the business would have immediately noticed these variations had occurred. At the very least, it would have been at the end of the week and would have gone to the boss and said, gee, something went wrong. We budgeted those key group of employees to be productive at 85%, and they're only 70%. We need to investigate what caused that. And does that mean we need to charge our charge-out rates? Too late for any quotes that have gone in already, but perhaps we can adjust our prices for future activities because we are not charging at the right rate if we want to earn our targeted profit. This is the reason we are talking all the time at ESS BIZTOOLS about the need for the tax return to be given its proper place in this overall structure. It's an important document. And your clients know that it's got to be completed properly. But it's a summary of the end of the year results. It could have been better if there had been immediate reaction to changes. And that is what ESS BIZTOOLS is all about, giving accountants the tools so that you can be continually advising your clients on changes that have occurred. It could have been that the price of goods coming in from anywhere, doesn't have to necessarily be overseas, have suddenly increased. It could be that a major customer has suddenly stopped paying on the regular basis at 35 days and it's now buying out to 50 days. What's that going to mean to your client's cash flow? What are the cash flow effects? Are they being analysed every month? This is the key data that your clients need if they are going to survive the crises that we are experiencing at present. And I read yesterday that Jerry Harvey, who's been in retail trading for 60 years at Harvey Norman, is saying that he thinks the situation is going to continue to deteriorate for businesses, and then in 5 years' time, it is going to be very tough. A very sober forecast by a survivor in the Australian business ranks. Started off, I've read, as selling vacuum cleaners 60 years ago. And I worked out he was 15 when he was doing that. And Mr. Harvey has seen a lot of recessions and problems in that 60-year career. And he's saying to us, watch out. There are big problems to come. He doesn't believe that the Reserve Bank's going to reduce interest rates the way some of the political activists are wanting it to do, because he's blaming politicians, the current government and probably the previous government, for a lot of the problems. Too much money's getting put out into the system. It's got to come from somewhere. The government is increasing its debt significantly. So what's all that got to do with you as an accountant advising SMEs? I think we've got to help them survive. We've got to help them have the vision that they can grow and grow into bigger and better businesses, because it's very tough. So let's look at some of the core features that are included within the advanced package that has been developed by ESS BIZTOOLS. First of all, you have the 52-week business enhancement system, which is the basic foundation on which we are outlining our product to you. And it starts with you developing an in-depth knowledge of your clients. I don't think you should assume that because you've been the tax agent, tax return preparer for a client for a number of years, that you know in depth what's happening in that client's business, because you tend to rely on receiving the financial accounts that have already been prepared. with no idea of the fluctuations that I've already referred to that have occurred during the year? Have you undertaken a detailed internal control review of your client? I suspect you haven't. It's not really part of the brief to prepare the tax return, is it? But if you're going to be the virtual chief financial officer, I'm sure you'll want to make sure that there are proper internal control systems operating, that there are proper authorities that have been given as to who can authorise transactions, who can authorise the payments, who can authorise the employment of people. Systems manuals need to be developed. What's the system for credit accounts? Are the due dates for payments being clearly identified on the tax invoice? Is there a phone call made 4, maybe 5 days prior to the due date for a payment on a tax invoice to remind the customer that payment's due? Is the debtors days outstanding prepared and analysed promptly at the end of each month with the leadership team, and there are follow-up calls nominated to senior executives, especially for large amounts owing and for major clients that some of your team members might find intimidating to ring? That's what you'd be saying to your client. So there's a whole lot of work to be done. You need to understand your client 1 inch wide but a mile deep. And that role may well be reversed at present if you're acting just to prepare the tax return and to give taxation advice. And then we move into the business plan. It's vital that each one of your clients has a business plan. And please, not a copy of another one that you've done. You need to sit down with the leadership team in sessions no longer than 3 hours is my suggestion, because they get toey. They're looking for their mobile phones. They're wanting to get feedback, because that's what executives live off, getting feedback, making decisions. So I never attempt to get them to come and meet with me for a whole day. Doesn't work. It's a problem if you're bringing people in from other outlying areas, of course. So that's a great cost for the business. So perhaps then you have got to lock away for a day and try to do it all in that way. Build an event around it. Dinner the night before, working with you to develop the business plan. Because at the end of the day, it is vital that the leadership team members accept responsibility for the business plan, because they have helped prepare it. They have had their input in what it's going to do. Now, they might not win all the arguments, but at least they know and understand how it's been prepared. And then we need the predictive financial accounts, budgets, cash flow forecasts, details of the key drivers, those sub-accounts that shouldn't get hidden in the budget process, inventory levels, debtors, creditors, capital expenditure, research and development, export marketing expenditure. All need to be sub-accounts of the budgetary process so that they can be analysed, so they can be interpreted and reviewed each month to see how the actuals are turning out. Cash flow forecasts. And what are the cash flow forecasts showing? Have the accounts been prepared on an unrealistic basis? If the business is budgeting for the debtors days outstanding to be 30 days every month during the year, I'd have a very close look at it. What's been the history for the past 2 or 3 years? If they've achieved 30 days, debtors days outstanding each month for 3 years, well, you probably got to accept it. But in actual fact, it's probably higher than 30 days outstanding in most businesses. So make sure there's realistic assumptions, because one of the key reports you're trying to get out of the predictive accounting report is the cash flow forecast. Are there going to be shortfalls? And the best role you can play is to be able to give plenty of advice to the CEO and the chairman of the board, if there is one. But there's looming problems. So what can be done about it? Should you be looking to propose that they try to seek additional loan funds, but if they've got security to offer? Or could you look at trying to raise capital? It's a crowdsourced funding equity raising company if the turnover's under $25 million annually. Or from venture capitalists if the turnover's making crowdsourced funding equity raising not an opportunity. The whole purpose of doing these forecasts is to set the scene and help. So some of the core material that's included in the advanced package includes the Chief Financial Officer services, covers a lot of area, covers the analysis of the actual financial performance, the all-important key performance indicators and business metrics are vital to assist your client's leadership team to get the numbers. That's what they're interested in. I was the Chief Financial Officer in a listed public company. We were in the meat industry. We're Australia's second largest meat company. And those figures, the key performance indicators and business metrics, were what the foremen and the managers of our meatworks and boning rooms and retail shops needed daily. In fact, in the meatworks, they were looking at KPIs virtually on the hour because it was telling them vital information they needed. Now, I found it was a great idea to sit down with those foremen and sub-managers to make sure they understood what the information was conveying to them. On a couple of occasions, they told me they didn't understand it. So I got them to write up what they wanted. And we then made sure it was in their language, not in accountants' lingo, as they called it. They wanted it so that they understood it. And after all, that's who the document was targeted at. So think about how you perform this role of the Chief Financial Officer. And then there's some specialised services that you could offer. And all this is included within the advanced package. You had the material all produced. Templates of every step in the crowdsourced funding equity raising process. An overview of what it's all about. Detailed description of the role and the responsibilities and the duties of the crowdsourced funding intermediary, who's a business that's been licensed by the Australian Security Investment Commission, and a lot of authority delegated to them by ASIC. But they're also a promoter. They are there to help your client, once they've approved them, to be in the crowdsourced funding equity raising regime, to raise capital. And they get paid on that capital and only get paid if they raise it. The Personal Property Securities Register. Your team should have a clear understanding of it and be able to communicate with the clients. And it's got a direct relationship with debtors that should be understood. Research and development. There are thousands of SMEs wanting to undertake research and development. Our system will immediately allow you to bring it up on your computer screen when you get an inquiry. And to be able to say to your client, well, in the first instance, you have to be a company. And you can only claim for the special taxation rebate expenditure incurred once you become a company. And you've got to spend more than $20,000 on legitimate R&D activities within the financial year. So why does this all matter to your accountancy firm, you might be asking? Well, not only does it affect your client, and I think if your client's not happy, sooner or later, they'll hear about other firms offering these types of services, because it is the way we need to go. The technology's there, the software's there, and the communication facilities are there. You're watching one of them now with Zoom. So why it matters is within your own team, because this supplies interesting and challenging work for your accounting team members. It will assist with your talent attraction, that accountants all over Australia tell me that is a major problem. The younger generation are not interested in sitting there preparing tax returns all day, every day throughout the year. I think we need to face up to that, and there needs to be some changes. And then you've got the talent retention. It's no use getting people in and training them in whatever your firm's specialities are, and then they leave you. Hopefully, by offering this wide variety of services that comes with the adoption of the role that you need to deliver as a virtual CFO service, you will retain those people because they will be interested in this wider range of work. And of course, client loyalty is also very important. Clients that are receiving this advice have significantly improved their chances of success, because you're immediately going to be highlighting to them of activities that are not going in the right area, in the right direction, that the gross profit percentages are nowhere near what was budgeted. You budgeted 38% and only achieving 24%. And if you know that on a week-by-week basis, action can be taken to fix whatever the problem is. And if it can't be achieved at any higher than 24%, the decision may have to be, well, to change that operation completely, do something different. That's the activities that I think we're on, and that we at ESS BIZTOOLS can assist you to deliver these as services. We produce these articles, templates, forms, videos that you can then access on your own 24/7. We run a monthly training program 10 times per annum for each of our product packages. We have 4 product packages, but you can attend other training packages, video sessions if you wish. No extra cost for that. Get an idea of what else is available. If you would like to have further information on how the advanced package operates and the benefits that it can give to you to have happy clients, happy team members, and a happy accounting firm, because this will generate additional fee income that's been generated from what I expect to be a growing list of SME clients who are running bigger and better businesses because of the input that you're able to give them to ensure their successful operations. If you would like to get further information from me on how ESS BIZTOOLS operates, please send me an email, peter@essbiztools.com.au. I look forward to hearing from you. Or you can make a phone call if you like, 0747241118. 0747241118. Stay safe. Have a great day. Goodbye.